Let's get right into it. Number 10. The Closet Monster. You're 6 years old, staring at your closet door like it's a portal to another dimension. Your parents tell you to relax. There's nothing in there except your clothes, but your tiny brain isn't buying it, because here's the thing. From a survival perspective, your childhood terror was weirdly on point. Humans are hardwired to fear dark, enclosed spaces because back in caveman times, darkness equals predators. Imagine being a little prehistoric kiddo, curled up in a cave, while lions and snakes are literally right outside. Not being paranoid could get you eaten. So when you, a modern child, see the closet door ajar and swear something is breathing in there, it's not just your imagination. It's your ancient nervous system screaming, "That could be a leopard nest, kiddo. Shut it." Psychologists even found that children are much more likely to imagine threats in dark spaces compared to well-lit ones. That "something's watching me" feeling? It's basically your brain's motion sensor going haywire, picking up phantom patterns just in case. Your closet monster is evolution's way of saying, don't sleep too comfortably, we're fragile meat sacks. So yeah, you weren't just a dramatic child, you were reenacting humanity's primal night shift security system. The only thing off is that instead of saber-toothed cats, it's a pile of Pokemon t-shirts. Number 9. The Toilet Demon. Every kid, at some point, has had this moment. You're sitting on the toilet and suddenly realize, what if something comes up from underneath? Ridiculous, right? Except, not entirely. Historically, toilets have been a hub of nightmare fuel. In ancient Rome, shared public latrines sometimes had snakes or rats crawling through the sewage system. Medieval outhouses? People literally got bitten on the butt by things that made it up through the pit. And in modern times, rare but real cases exist of snakes or giant rats slithering through pipes. From a psychological angle, the fear is called toilet anxiety. Yes, it's a thing. Your brain associates being on the toilet with maximum vulnerability. You can't run. You can't fight. You're pants down helpless. So when your childhood imagination whispers, what if something grabs you right now? That's actually your survival instinct reminding you this is the worst possible place to be ambushed. So yeah, the toilet demon wasn't just your brain being random. It was your body screaming, if a crocodile comes through that pipe, you're done for. Number 8. The deep end of the pool. You know that heart-stopping fear when you swam anywhere near the deep end of the pool? Like, you could be fine splashing in the shallow water, but the second your foot dangled over that dark blue drop-off, your brain was like, yeah, that's where Poseidon drags kids down to their doom. Turns out, your childhood instincts weren't totally off. Humans have an innate fear of deep, dark water called thalassophobia, and kids are extra sensitive to it. Evolution gave us this paranoia because, let's face it, most of our ancestors were bad swimmers, and drowning was a top 10 way to die before Netflix existed. Even today, drowning is one of the leading causes of childhood death worldwide. So, yeah, your brain saw that shadowy pool bottom and screamed, this is a watery grave with your name on it. Psychologists also point out that water distorts sound and vision, which makes your senses go haywire. That creepy feeling like, something's down there, is your brain filling in the blanks with sea monsters, sharks, or whatever your personal nightmare fuel is. Even in chlorinated suburban pools, the deep end becomes your personal version of the Mariana Trench. So the fear wasn't dumb, it was a child's nervous system running a very valid PSA. Stay away from the abyss, SpongeBob. Number 7. Mirrors at night. Every kid has had that moment. Brushing your teeth, you glance in the mirror, and suddenly your own reflection looks wrong. Your tiny brain whispers, what if it moves on its own? What if it's not actually you? Welcome to the surprisingly rational nightmare of mirror fear. This comes from something called the Troxler effect, where if you stare at your reflection long enough, your brain literally starts deleting parts of your face. Shadows shift, features blur, and suddenly your mirror self looks like a stranger. Add low lighting and boom, you've got instant nightmare fuel. Anthropologists also point out that mirrors and reflective surfaces have been tied to superstition forever. Cultures across the world warned that mirrors could trap souls or act as portals. For a kid, those legends trickle down into raw instinct. If there's a glowing rectangle with a ghost version of me inside it, maybe don't trust it. Your brain also hates the uncanny valley. When something looks almost human, but not quite right, and guess what? Your face, half lit in a bathroom mirror at midnight, is basically Uncanny Valley Deluxe. So yeah, little you wasn't being dramatic. You were staring into one of psychology's deepest rabbit holes while holding a SpongeBob toothbrush. Number 6. Something under the bed. Classic nightmare scenario. You're tucked in, the lights are off, and suddenly you're convinced that if your foot dangles over the edge of the mattress, something will grab it. Parents dismiss it as just your imagination. But evolution says otherwise. Here's the science. Humans are wired to feel vulnerable when lying down because that's literally when predators would have attacked our ancestors. Sleeping on the ground in ancient times meant that snakes, spiders, or straight-up wild animals could crawl up and check you out. So the under-the-bed monster isn't just a cartoon idea, it's your nervous system scanning for threats in the unseen. Psychologists note that kids in particular are prone to agency detection bias, which means your brain would rather assume there's something alive in the dark than risk ignoring a real danger. It's the same instinct that makes you jump when a shadow moves at night. It's safer to think it's a predator than to assume it's just a curtain. And yes, the childhood ritual of leaping into bed from 3 feet away, totally rational. You were basically simulating an evolutionary survival hack. Avoid ground contact for as little time as possible. Sure, it wasn't a lion under there. It was a shoebox full of Legos, but your brain didn't know that. Number 5. Thunder and lightning. As a kid, a thunderstorm was basically nature throwing a rave you didn't sign up for. The flash, the bang, the window shaking, it felt like the sky was actively trying to murder you. And, not completely irrational, thunderstorms kill thousands of people every year worldwide. Lightning strikes are rare, but when they hit, they can cook your nervous system like overdone bacon. Historically, entire villages would burn down from a single strike, so your childhood panic at every rumble wasn't weakness, it was your primal weather app screaming, seek shelter or die. There's also the psychology side. Kids' brains don't fully understand cause and effect yet, so when they see a blinding flash followed by an apocalyptic boom, they don't process atmospheric discharge. They process, sky gods are fighting, and I'm stuck in the blast zone. Even adults can feel unnerved by storms. Kids just don't have the poker face to hide it. Interestingly, studies show children who are more sensitive to noise are much more likely to develop storm anxiety, which makes sense. Imagine your nervous system set to super loud, then add thunder. Basically, your brain's like, that's it, we're doomed, grab the juice boxes and run. Number 4. The basement. Every childhood home had that one basement. You know the one. Dim light bulb swinging, shadows stretching way too far, and the smell of old cardboard mixed with existential dread. Kids hated basements not just because they were creepy, but because, brace yourself, they were often genuinely dangerous. Basements are classic examples of what psychologists call liminal spaces, places that feel in between and therefore unsafe. They're quiet, oddly empty, and usually poorly lit. For a child's brain, that combination screams predator hideout. Evolution taught humans to avoid caves and hollow pits for a reason. Wild animals love to nest there. Swap bear cave with laundry room full of cobwebs, and your nervous system can't tell the difference. But there's a practical danger too. Old basements often had mold, bad wiring, sharp tools, or a staircase you could fall down. Parents said, "There's nothing down there," but in reality, there was plenty down there that could hurt you. Your childhood panic wasn't totally irrational. It was basically a sixth sense telling you, this is the sketchiest part of the house. And of course, horror movies didn't help. Basements are always where the creepy stuff happens. So, the next time you sprinted upstairs with laundry flying out of your arms, that was your fight or flight system working overtime. Honestly, evolution approves. Number 3. Strange noises at night. The house creaks. The pipes groan. Something scratches against the window. As a kid, your brain translated all of that into, yes, there is a murderer outside, thanks for asking. But here's the kicker. Your paranoia wasn't 100% wrong. Our ancestors relied on hypersensitive hearing to detect danger at night. Every twig snap could have been a predator, or an enemy. That instinct stuck around, which is why your childhood self went full Navy SEAL mode the moment you heard a floorboard pop at 2 a.m. Science backs this up. Kids are more likely to experience nighttime auditory hallucinations, basically hearing sounds that aren't there. The brain fills in the silence with fake noises, just in case. Combine that with overactive imagination, and suddenly your curtains are whispering your name. And then there's the survival logic. Houses actually do make alarming noises, pipes expand, wood shifts, and critters crawl into the walls. For a kid's perspective, though, that wasn't thermal expansion. That was, something's pacing in the attic, and we're all going to die. So yeah, the monster under your bed was probably just bad plumbing, but your brain decided, let's prepare for all scenarios, including axe-wielding goblins. Thanks, evolution. Number 2, the dark hallway. You're standing at one end of the hallway, the lights are off, and suddenly that short walk to your bedroom feels like crossing the Sahara at midnight with a pack of wolves behind you. You sprint like your life depends on it, slam the door shut, and dive under the covers like a Navy SEAL evading snipers. Sounds ridiculous, but not really. Psychologists call this fear of open but dark spaces scotophobia. Your eyes don't pick up enough detail in the dark, so your brain switches to paranoia mode. Hallways feel endless, and every shadow could hide a predator. From an evolutionary standpoint, long, narrow paths were prime ambush zones, perfect for snakes, big cats, or rival humans waiting to jump you. So, when little you bolted down the hall like a caffeinated gazelle, that was instinct saying, "Run now! Ask questions later." Interestingly, kids report that hallways feel longer and deeper in the dark than in daylight. That's your brain distorting space perception when it doesn't have enough visual input. It's the same phenomenon that makes tunnels feel endless or forests feel claustrophobic at night. Basically, your childhood fear was less about ghosts and more about your brain screaming, "Don't linger in the kill zone." Number 1, the fear of being alone. This is the granddaddy of childhood fears, the gut-wrenching terror of being left alone in a room, a house, or anywhere unfamiliar. And while adults wave it off as clinginess, it's actually one of the most rational survival instincts kids ever had. Human children are helpless for years, can't hunt, can't fight, can barely tie their shoes. For most of history, a child left alone was basically a snack for predators. Evolution baked into our wiring that being alone equals danger. That panic when mom walked out of the room wasn't just separation anxiety, it was your DNA yelling, "We will literally not survive 5 minutes without the tribe." Even today, psychologists find that childhood fears of abandonment are rooted in deep survival logic. Kids who cried louder and demanded constant company, they actually had a better chance of being protected historically. The clingy kid lived. The chill, independent kid probably didn't make it past wolf season. So the next time you remember sobbing because you thought you'd been left behind at the grocery store, just know you weren't overreacting. You were following one of humanity's most rational alarms. Don't be the lone gazelle.